So there's a trend in academia. It's the idea when it comes to mysticism and mystics that there's not one universal form of it, and but rather they're all influenced by their cultures and the backgrounds of the people. So the mystic vision of a Christian woman in Spain is going to have the Virgin Mary and other things, and the mystic vision of a African tribesman is going to be something totally different, and they're always tied to context, and there's no universality to it. So I guess this is combating the kind of early New Age people and the theosophists from 100, 150 years ago that were just looking at all kinds of religious books and tying them together. But it seems to me that the view of the mystics is not like that. If you look at the people who have had these great spiritual experiences and visions and led these lives, they're all very similar, and it seems that if you understand one, you understand them all. But in each group, among Christians or Muslims or whoever, once people get around to studying them and explaining them, they say, oh, if you want to understand Rumi, who's a Muslim mystic, you have to understand Sufism, which isn't mysticism. It's because the other mysticisms are not the truth. So he had the truth because he was Muslim, and that's the truth. But you have the same thing on the other side with Hare Krishnas or Christians or Christian mystics. They'll say that their ultimate mystic truth is really their own religion. But when you look at what the mystics say, they don't write about that. They write about love. They write about barriers broken down between themselves and others, respect for all life, however small, and kind of death in this world to a rebirth of the ever-living life of the universe and things like that. And you understand one, you understand them all, it seems. But this isn't an academic question. This has to do with personal experience. Because mystics didn't write dogma. Mystics had visions, and they would sometimes communicate them to the best of their ability. You can't explain the unexplainable. So, another thing about it, the traditional way in a lot of places of having mystic visions is to go to a cave and eat very little and don't sleep, or go to the desert or the mountain, and or stay in this very rigorous spiritual training with a master and having religious duties and things to do throughout the day. And so they say that's the only way to arrive. But it seems to me that there could be other ways too. And look at the Rastafarians. Are they not spiritual? And as a kind of sacrament, they smoke marijuana. And the shamans, they use psychedelics, and they've been around since before history. So, and today you have things like Timothy Leary, who translated with his friends the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which is a Tibetan spiritual text, and due to their knowledge of using LSD and mushrooms or psychedelics, it seemed perfectly intelligible to them. And it's the same area. It's talking about death, the breaking down of barriers, but people will look at that and say, oh, well, they just took a drug. They didn't go to the mountain for 20 years, so it's not valid. But I think the important thing when it comes to spirituality, and not just religion, not just learning rules or participating with other people in certain rituals, it's about experience. It's about personal experience. So as Terence McKenna said, build your own damn boat. So you have to you really have to do it for yourself. And the greatest explanations we've had show up in the poetry and music and all kinds of works of the mystics. But well, that's all I got to say today.